Yo, welcome back everybody to a brand new video here on the second channel, and it's time to look at some rotation results. Yes, this is a big one, but Japan, of course, has had a rotation applied now, and they've been playing with the new cards from Temporal Forces over in Japan this past weekend. There have been quite a few tournaments that have happened with rotation results. There's going to be even more rotation results, so it is time to see what decks are doing good right now in the current format in rotation. Of course, Japan does have it a bit earlier, but I'm excited to look at the results. I have peeked a little bit at some of the decks, and I'm excited to see some of the new archetypes that are playable and winning, and also I'm excited to see what decks that, how do they adapt with rotation? And I'm really excited for all of that. If y'all are excited and want to see more of these type of videos looking at some rotation results over Japan, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe down below here to this channel. I'll leave a link down below to Pokebook, the website I am currently using to look at these rotation results. Like every day they post new deck lists and stuff, so if you want to go check out all the results in Japan, make sure to check out Pokebook. I'll leave a link to it down below. But yeah, we have a bunch of tournaments from Friday to Saturday, all the way to Sunday. There's going to be even more from Monday. There are a lot of tournaments. Let's, without further ado, get into some post-rotation decks here and see what decks are winning in the current format in Japan. So, starting off here, the first tournament, the deck that won actually was Control. Now, that's a pretty crazy one. Obviously, Control is a deck that does not lose too much with rotation, in my opinion. It kind of stays the same, and actually won the tournament here. Now, this Control deck does have some interesting stuff. It does play a Mantine in the deck. I'm actually not too sure what that Mantine does, but it does have the Radiant Charizard in the deck. Pretty sure the Radiant Charizard there is in the deck to attack the threats. And, of course, it does have the Pidgeot, the Mimikyu, the Rotom. Everything's kind of the same. It does, of course, gain that brand new supporter card. I can zoom in a little bit more. There's that new supporter that allows you to discard 2 items from your opponent's hand. Snorlax does lose Sydney, which I guess is a bit of a big loss. But overall, it still kind of stays the same despite losing cards like Sydney. I do think that it does have some cool new additions with that new supporter. It also is, of course, playing the new Ace Spec card. I think that's going to be the big thing, is what decks are using what Ace Specs. We can kind of get a gauge at what Ace Specs are good. That's what's got me hyped. But this deck's actually playing that giant Cape Ace Spec that gives you plus 100 HP, which is pretty good to have on your Rotom, have on your Snorlax, even to have it on your Mimikyu. So everybody who hates Snorlax Control, well, unfortunately, it didn't look like it's going anywhere anytime soon. The runner-up deck, of course, was Charizard. Now, Charizard EX is one of the decks, in my opinion, that really doesn't do much with rotation. I mean, it loses Battle VIP Pass, and that's about it. The deck just gains Buddy Poffin, which is like the budget version of Battle VIP Pass for the deck, because you can use the Buddy Poffin to grab your Charmanders, to grab your Pidgeys. It's all Gucci. I guess you lose Celebration's Mew, but overall, Charizard pretty much stays the same, and this deck did obviously lose to Snorlax in the finals, because Snorlax is a pretty bad matchup, even in the rotation. Now, the one thing this deck does play is, of course, the Buddy Poffin. It also plays Mist Energy in the deck so that you can't get killed by Roaring Moon, but it also plays that new Choice Band Ace Spec, which will let your Charizard do 50 more damage to EX Pokemon. Now, that is pretty good. Charizard being able to do 50 more damage is ridiculous. I mean, in the early game, Charizard can be manipulated because it doesn't do a lot of damage, right? Charizard early on only does 180 damage. Sometimes you can play into that and manipulate the damage output a little bit. You can control how much damage Charizard does. But this deck does play that Choice Band, which now makes it so Charizard's doing plus 50 more damage. All of a sudden, Charizard is doing 230 damage on its turn setting up, which is honestly kind of gross, especially because you can search it out with Arven, which this deck already plays. So yeah, Charizard's looking pretty darn good in the new format. Looking pretty scary, not gonna lie. That Choice Band might be the most broken supporter card, or the most broken tool, sorry, that Charizard gets to play. That is a pretty insane card. Another Charizard deck here in the top 4. This one looking like it's similar to the other one. Not playing the Radiant Charizard, does still play the TM Devo Vitality Band. It's still like a, the normal version of Charizard we're seeing nowadays in our format. But yeah, it is opting to play that Choice Band supporter over playing the Prime Catcher, which was the other big supporter everybody thought was going to be played. But it looks like this Choice Bell supporter is the way to go. Again, Charizard doing plus 50 damage is insane. And then, of course, there's another Charizard in top 4. Here we go, folks. Charizard is gonna be the BDIF, and yeah, like most of the top four is Charizard. That's crazy. This build is playing a Toedscruel. This Toedscruel does prevent Pokestop and superior energy retrieval from working. That's pretty relevant. I think a lot of people are really hyping up the idea of both Shenpao and Goldengo in the rotation. So this Toedscruel kind of blocks that from getting in the way of Charizard. Once again, this build of Charizard is opting to play that A-Spec choice spell, but it also is playing a Bibarel over playing the Pidgeot, so opting for a bit of a slower approach with the Tiamivo and the Bibarel within the deck. There's another Charizard. Oh my god. Half of the top 8 was Charizard, bro? Oh my. Hopefully this is not the reality we're going to live in, dude. That does not sound like a fun time. This build, again, playing the Bibarels, playing the Radiant Zard, and playing the Choice Band supporter. All right, we finally got a different deck. We got our first look at a post-rotation Roaring Moon. Now, this is a pretty standard Roaring Moon deck here. Not really that many new cards in it, actually. There's not even an Ace-Spec in the deck, so I wonder maybe if the person who played this deck didn't really have access to the new Ace-Spec, because there isn't even, like, the new Ace-Specs in the deck, which is a little weird, but maybe they just didn't have access to the Ace-Spec at the time. It is Roaring Moon, but the thing Roaring Moon does lose with rotation is Battle VIP, which actually makes it hard for you to set up a lot of your basics, because Moon does rely heavily on VIP to get Squawkabilly, to get Greninja, to get Mew, to get multiple Moons. I mean, even Moltres, though Moltres did rotate, it still is a big loss to lose Battle VIP, because it just makes Moon a little bit slower, but still just like the Turbo Moon deck with the Sada, the Pokestop, and stuff. I would imagine there would be an A-Spec in here, but I guess the person who was playing that just couldn't have access to an A-Spec at the time. Maybe they just couldn't afford it or whatever. Couldn't find one in time. There is another Charizard. Again, Charizard just dominating the top 8. That is just, what a disgusting card. It's another Bibarel Zard deck. Playing the Toedscruel in the deck. Also playing a Mist Energy again. Trying to block Roaring Moon, because Mist Energy does prevent Frenzy Gouging from working. And then it also has that Choice Band support, the A-Spec card. Keep calling it a supporter. It's an A-Spec. It's a tool. We haven't seen Prime Catcher yet. We got another Charizard here in top 8, of course. But this one is a bit different. It is Pidgeysard with a Arceus V-Star in the deck, and also a Cramorant. A little bit more of a teched out Zard build here. Playing 4 Colress's Experiment, no Arvins. But once again, the A-Spec of choice being in that choice spell. So that might just be the way Charizard is going to see play. Because, I mean, plus 50 damage when you're only doing 180 at the time, it's pretty good. That's pretty interesting. Another deck here, an interesting one. We actually have the new Great Tusk. Now, this single prize Great Tusk is a mill deck, and I'm pretty sure if you play like a Sada from your hand, or you play an Ancient Supporter card, if you play an Ancient Supporter card from your hand, you can mill like the top 4 cards of your opponent's deck, which is pretty cool. So this definitely is a really cool mill deck. Could this be the return of milling? Obviously, we have Snorlax, which is a stall deck. It's not really a mill deck. Even though it does play mill cards, it's not really a mill deck. This deck is specifically a mill deck. It's got the Hand Clipper in the deck, playing that Giant Cape Ace-Spec card. The Great Tusk already has 140 HP, so it already is pretty bulky. And again, if you play an Ancient Supporter from your hand, I think you can mill like 4 cards from the top of their deck or something with a double Turbo Energy. So interesting stuff there. That did end up getting top 16. I guess that would have a good Charizard matchup. We got an Arc Pile. Now, Arc Piles do have to adapt a little bit with rotation, because Arceus does, of course, lose cards like Path to the Peak. It also loses a lot of its powerful attackers like Pikachu VMAX, Duraludon VMAX, Umbreon VMAX. Stuff like that all rotate. But this Arc Pile is a fire build. Now, speaking of this, there actually was a Arceus Armor Rouge deck. 2 of them actually in top 32 at Liverpool this weekend. And this is not the same build, because obviously Rayquaza rotated, but it kind of looks like it's a little similar, where it's got the Armor Rouge package playing at the Delphox and the Mew and the Radiant Heatran, which the other Arc Ray deck did play. And it's also playing the new Gouging Fire EX. Now, obviously, you can't accelerate fire energy to it with Arceus's attack, but you can put energy in play so that you can move the energy with Armor Rouge's ability to the Gouging Fire. And looking at the A-Spec of choice, there's no Prime Catcher. It's actually, once again, the Choice Band, which makes sense with Arceus, because Arceus does 180 damage. Sometimes when you play Arceus, you're not knocking out Miraidon, you're not one-shotting Roaring Moon. It's not like the old days where you'd grab a Choice Belt and you're knocking out Raikou Vs with Arceus. Now that you have this A-Spec card, you can do 230 damage with Arceus on the second turn. Honestly, that's kind of a compelling reason to play Arceus, because Arceus, one of its main hurdles right now are these basic EX Pokemon being kind of tanky, because Arceus doesn't do enough damage to them. But now that this new Choice Band exists, instead of going DT Choice Belt, you just go DT Choice Band or whatever. That seems kind of ridiculous. I'm not going to lie. That's kind of crazy. I got another Charizard Pidgeot deck here. Once again, the A-Spec of choice being that Great Band, whatever it's called. And then there's also the Gouging Fire. It's going to be an interesting one of to play. Gouging Fire does seem interesting in Charizard. The downside is, remember, it can't attack until it moves from the active again. And Charizard doesn't really tend to play a lot of switch. This build does play one switch. Gouging Fire could be a decent attacker in the deck still, nonetheless. So we'll have to see any other Zards play it. Another Zard here, pretty, standardized version, playing the Choice Band supporter, doing the plus 50 damage, having the Buddy Poffins in the deck. We've got another Roaring Moon deck here. Now, it is playing that brand new Roaring Moon that does 70 plus 10 more damage for each of your Ancient card in the discard pile. When you have a deck with Earthen Vessels, Sadas, Ancient Capsules, and multiple Roaring Moons, that can be a really good one-prize attacker that in the late game can be really good to offset the prize trade. Also, incorporating that Darkrai V-Star within the deck, which makes sense as this deck does indeed play an Ace-Spec, and it is that Prime Catcher Ace-Spec card, obviously that Guzma on an item. And the nice thing with Prime Catcher is if you're playing Roaring Moon, you play Prime Catcher, you might as well also play Darkrai V-Star, because then you can use 2 Prime Catchers in a game, which is pretty crazy. This deck has 2 Prime Catchers and 2 Boss with the Pal Pad. That's still a lot of gust you get in a match, which is very strong. So I really do like this Roaring Moon 60. I like that single prize Roaring Moon in the deck, and opting for Prime Catcher over the new Ancient Ace-Spec card that we got. We got our first look at a Shenpao post-rotation deck. Shenpao does seem to kind of stay similar after rotation. It does lose Battle VIP, but you can play Buddy Poffin, which is nice. You can still Buddy Poffin for your Friggies, for your Bidooфs and stuff. You just can't get Greninja or Shenpao. But this build here of Shenpao is playing the Iron Hand still in the deck, opting for Prime Catcher as the Ace-Spec. Does make sense. Shenpao probably would want to get away with that. I mean, that could let you like double. You could do like double Shivery Chill with the Prime Catcher, which is kind of cool. Playing the Iron Bundle, playing that Kyogre too, that snipes for 180. A big play that you can actually see with Buddy Poffin is that Pogo Ditto, or the 151 Ditto, sorry. So the 151 Ditto, when it's in the active spot, on your first turn on your first turn of the game, you can swap it with a basic in your deck. So you can Buddy Poffin for Ditto, get it in the active, and then use its ability to turn it into like a Shenpao EX. So it kind of turns Buddy Poffin into kind of a Diet Battle VIP pass. So there you go. Another Shenpao deck here. This one a little bit more streamlined, not as teched out. Still playing the Iron Hands, playing the Ditto. Actually playing that brand new Mallow supporter that lets you put 2 cards of your choice on top of your deck. That could synergize nicely with Greninja and Bibarel to help you find rare Candy Excalibur, or even to find superiors with Pokestop or something. That's a really cool idea. And yeah, opting to play the Buddy Poffins alongside the Prime Catcher and that Ditto in the deck too. And then, of course, we do have a Meowscarada post-rotation deck. Now, Meowscarada in the new format doesn't seem like, because right now it doesn't seem insane, but honestly, thanks to the loss of Path to Peak and potentially like Giratina, V-Star getting weaker, which in my opinion are bad matchups right now for Meowscarada. And I guess there's Mewtwo also, right? Mew VMAX. So it does make sense that Meowscarada might be better in the rotation. It can play Buddy Poffin. It still has cards like Radiant Alakazam. I like this build. It's also using that Toedscruel, which is obviously good against Shenpao and Goldengo, to block Superior Retrieval, playing the Prime Catchers. With all the Zard we've seen so far, Meowscarada in the new format doesn't look too bad whatsoever. All right, next tournament here, we got another tourney look at. The winning deck was a Shenpao deck, once again, playing that Mallow supporter, playing Prime Catcher, and playing the Buddy Poffin. However, this one does not play the 151 Ditto in the deck. Another Zard here, runner-up Zard. It's got the Entei V back in the deck. Not a terrible idea. I mean, you could still use Entei V also with that Ace-Spec supporter, or Ace-Spec tool. I keep calling it a supporter. The Ace-Spec tool lets you do plus 50. That actually isn't a bad idea to play with Entei, because that lets you put on a lot of early game pressure with Entei, which could be kind of cute, I guess, too. Playing the Bibarel Engine over Pidgeot. We got our first look at a post-rotation Giratina deck. Now, Giratina really does have to change with rotation because it does lose Path to the Peak, which is a very big loss for the deck. Also, losing the Battle VIP pass kind of sucks too, because you can't get Giratina Vs and play that easily. This build is playing 4 Nest Balls, playing the Buddy Poffin, also playing the Ditto in the deck too with Buddy Poffin. So you can try to use the Ditto, especially if you're trying to do Abyss Seeking. That does go a long way. It's also playing a Prime Catcher as the Ace-Spec of choice. I think that's a decent Ace-Spec to play in Giratina. I actually wouldn't hate playing the new tool though, because then you can Lost Impact and one-hit KO a Charizard, and then you can one-hit KO another Charizard with Star Requiem. That doesn't seem bad, to be honest, but Prime Catcher does make a lot of sense in Lost Zone decks because it's a switch card for your Comfy, but also a Gust card, which is pretty nice. Especially you can use it with like Colress and Iono / Roxanne and stuff. Also playing Team Devo, so still does have answers against Charizard. The big thing, obviously, you'll notice there's no path. It has to play Artisan and Temple of Sinnoh. Temple Sinnoh could be nice if you play against Mist Energy. We've already looked at a couple Zard lists that had the Mist Energy within the deck, so it makes sense to play the Temple of Sinnoh. All right, new deck time. We got ourselves a Raging Bolt deck. I'm excited to see what people are cooking up for Raging Bolt. One of the new EXs I think a lot of people are really eyeing up. Raging Bolt does do 70 damage. You discard any amount of basic energy from your board as you like, doing 70 damage for each one discarded in this way. You can do a lot of damage. Of course, we do have that Sandy Shocks engine in the deck, which can put a fight energy on it once your opponent's taken 2 prizes. You got the Earthen Vessels. You got the Sawdust to accelerate energy into play. You got the new, actually, interesting enough, playing the new Fluttermane. When it's in the active, your opponent's basic Pokemon in the active doesn't have an ability because it is an ancient Pokemon. And there's also the new Koraidon that for 2 energy, I think it does 30 damage for each of your ancient Pokemon in play. So a nice, big, strong 1-prize attacker. It's got the energy switch engines. Playing the Prime Catcher as the A-Spec. Interesting, we're not seeing that new A-Spec, ancient card. But still pretty interesting list. Very turbo with the Sandy Shocks. Is once you kind of get past the like the first couple prizes your opponent takes, Sandy Shocks is live, and then Raging Bolt becomes a lot more scarier in the late game, which is cool. We got our first look at Goldengo. A deck that I think a lot of people are really hyping up in the new format is Goldengo because it seems that it could be a little bit stronger. I mean, you can play a lot of different ways to kind of make it work. Now, this build is interesting. It's actually playing Scizor with 17 energy. I think the big thing to notice in here is Zek doesn't play any Buddy Poffin. It's a bit of an odd disclusion. Obviously, Buddy Poffin seems pretty good with the Gimme Ghouls. You can even get Scyther too, I guess. There's that 70 HP Scyther. So very interesting inclusion to not play the Buddy Poffin. It is playing the Giant Cape, though, for the A-Spec card to give Goldengo more HP. Even could be good on Scizor, which makes sense. I mean, making Goldengo pretty bulky is kind of scary. And when you have 17 energy, you're hitting energy. Also, that Mallow supporter gets you 2 energy on top of your deck. You can then draw into it with Goldengo's ability, which is kind of cute. This is a natural synergy between the new Mallow supporter with Goldengo, which makes sense. All right, we got another Roaring Moon deck here. Once again, it is the duo Roaring Moon deck playing the single prize Roaring Moon that does a bunch of damage for each ancient card in your discard pile, and Roaring Moon EX playing the Prime Catcher as the A-Spec, having access to the ancient capsules in the deck, playing a Temple of Sinnoh, which is obviously a decent tech card against Mist Energy, and still playing the water energies in the deck. That's interesting. All right, we got another Goldengo deck here. We got another Goldengo Scizor deck. So interesting, we haven't seen the Goldengo Palkia deck yet. We've seen 2 Goldengo Scizor decks. Now, this one I like. It does have the Buddy Poffins within the deck, which once again seem like a good card to play in Goldengo, but also plays, once again, that new Mallow supporter, which also is really good with Goldengo. Very turbo build. Got the 4 trekking shoes, 4 Vessels, 4 Buddy Poffin. The only draw on the deck for supporters are just the Ionos, so that's interesting. Obviously, Clara did rotate. You still have Worker, though, but you don't need to play Worker anymore anyways because there's, like, Path of Peak rotated, right? So who cares? I got another Moon deck here to look at. Once again, playing the... Actually, is that the same Moon we already looked at? It might be... No, it's the same Moon we looked at. I apologize. But we do have a new Arc Vulpix deck here. Another Arc Pile deck. Vulpix seems good. I mean, you can shut off a lot of decks. I mean, it's pretty good against Goldengo, Shenpao, even Charizard can get walled off by the Alolan Vulpix V-Star. You still got the Judge in the deck. Now, despite not having Path of Peak, sometimes just using Judge can be very good. Even Judge plus Knockout on a Pokemon with that new A-Spec tool can be pretty deadly. I mean, imagine your opponent goes Roaring Moon, doesn't knock out your Arceus, and then turn 2, you go Judge, knock out their Roaring Moon, leave them with 4 cards. That could be pretty scary. So I actually like the Judge in the deck, even though, again, there's no path anymore. You can still, limit your opponent's hand. It's still a very strong effect to do that. And especially when you have access to easy one-hit KOs with Arceus early on now, it makes sense. Then you have that annoying wall with Vulpix. All right, we got another Shenpao deck here. This one's playing Palkia V-Star in the deck instead of Iron Hands. Playing Prime Catcher and also playing the Canceling Clone. That seems like a pretty dirty combo. Prime Catcher, Canceling Clone does seem kind of scary. Yeah, the Palkia V-Star is not bad. It gives you a nice beat stick early game attacker. Playing the Buddy Poffin, no ditto in the list. We got another Goldengo Palkia deck here to look at. Yeah, so Goldengo Palkia, another deck that does survive rotation. I mean, Palkia still is here. Obviously, you can't Melanie to Palkia, but the original Goldengo Palkia deck didn't even play Melanie anyways. This build is playing some new cards. This is that new Morty supporter, which I think you can, I think it, discards a card from your hand. You can, draw a certain amount of cards or something like that. I'm pretty sure that's what Morty does. But once again, playing cards like the Mallow, playing Irida, also playing Silene in the deck. Silene could be a very strong card with Prime Catcher. I mean, when Prime Catcher got revealed, a lot of people were hyping up the idea of Prime Catcher with Silene. We got the Buddy Poffin in the deck too to set up your Gimme Ghouls. You can't get Palkia with it, but you still have the double Nest Ball to help you get there too. So that's cool. Definitely a deck that survives rotation. All right, we got another Ancient Box deck here. We got ourselves the Roaring Moon Toolbox deck here. Playing the Roaring Moon, playing the Flutter Mane, but also has access, once again, to that A-Spec tool card of choice, which is really interesting. I'm surprised they're playing that over the Prime Catcher or that other A-Spec, but I guess it does allow your Roaring Moon's Calamity Storm to do more damage, but also lets your baby Roaring Moon or your Flutter Mane do more damage. So yeah, really cool, kind of the baby Roaring Moon here. The Flutter Mane could be kind of annoying too. I think it does 90 damage and like 30 damage to like one Pokemon on the bench or something, or you put 3 damage counters on, right? So it kind of bypasses Mana Feast, so that kind of makes sense. More Arc piles here. We got ourselves an Arc Gudra Vulpix deck. So instead of playing Arceus V-Star with the straight Vulpix, also adds the Gudra within the deck alongside the Vulpix. And Gudra obviously being very tanky, also playing the A-Spec tool giving you 100 extra HP, which you can put on your Gudra. That, in combination with Rolling Iron, makes Gudra kind of tanky. Also playing a couple Mist Energy, which you can put on your Gudra, so that Gudra can't be killed by Frenzy Gouging, which is one thing that does really hold Gudra back. And then also playing the League Headquarters in the deck to disrupt Roaring Moon even more, playing 3 Judge, 2 TM Devo. Yeah, really cool Arc Pile deck. Again, I'm a big fan of Arc Piles. I like Arc Piles. I mean, yeah, you're not playing that, other A-Spec tool card that lets Arceus do a lot of damage, but you do get a lot more bulk potential with Gudra, so you can kind of lean in to the Gudra wall. You can also put that on your Vulpix to make Vulpix really hard to KO. Even if your opponent has an answer to Vulpix, with the that tool, you can make Vulpix even harder to KO and more of a threat, where if it's not dealt with, it can really get powerful. We got another Goldengo Scizor deck here, playing the Prime Catcher in the deck. Still actually playing Worker in the deck. It's not a bad card. I mean, sometimes just drawing 3 cards is really good. The other good draw 3 card, Avery, did rotate, so no longer can play that. Another Charizard deck here. Interesting playing a Radiant Alakazam in the deck. Not sure what the matchup's for, but I guess extra damage can go a long way. Playing, once again, the Choice Belt card and playing the Mist Energy in the deck, too, for the Roaring Moon matchup. We got a Roaring Moon Palkia V-Star deck here. Now, that's a cool list. I've actually done a video on this deck recently, and I am a big fan of this concept. Roaring Moon Palkia seems good. There's a lot of good synergy between the two. You get to be a lot more aggressive. And now that you have, like, Prime Catcher and Canceling Clone, the deck gets even more aggressive because you can be more aggressive with your, Greninja plays with Palkia. There's also the Mawile in the deck. When you bench the Mawile, you can discard a special energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. So you use the Mawile to get rid of Mist Energy, so you can then Frenzy Gouging them. That's really cool. And finally, there's another Charizard deck here. And it's another Pidgeysard. And there you go. All right, next up, we got an exciting one here. We got an Arctina deck here, playing the new Iron Leaves EX. Now, this one does have me kind of excited because Iron Leaves EX could be a great partner for Arceus. That might not seem like it because, wait, you can't put energy on Iron Leaves. Why would you play it? Well, you can Arceus V-Star energy into play with Iron Leaves' ability. It's got that weirder ability, right? When you put it, you switch it in the active, you move any amount of grass energy you want to the Iron Leaf. So once you put energy in play with Arceus, you can then switch into the Iron Leaves, and then Iron Leaves does 180 damage and can knock out the Charizard EX in one hit. Arctina is a deck that's, pretty solid. Giratina is a great attacker. You got access to that Choice Belt supporter, which is good with both Arceus and Giratina to hit some pretty dangerous numbers. And then, of course, you still have the Judge in the deck. Again, you're not playing Path, which was one of the selling points of the deck, but you wouldn't want to play Path anyways because you got Iron Leaves. So instead of playing Superior V-Star or Leafeon V-Star, which stay in the format, you can play Iron Leaves instead, which frees up a spot. And Iron Leaves has good synergy with Arceus because you're already putting energy in play. You can just move it to the Iron Leaves and then come in, smack the opponent in the face, knock him out with the Iron Leaves. Seems like a good tech for Charizard. In fact, it beat Charizard here in the finals, it looks like. Got another Charizard deck. Playing at the Gouging Fire. Playing TM Evo alongside a Pidgeotto in the deck. And then playing that Mist Energy. And, of course, the big Choice Band supporter card. We got another Great Tusk Mill deck here with those Ancient Supporters and the Giant Cape. Really interesting stuff. We'll have to see if this Great Tusk deck picks up, because that's 2 of them we've looked at now, which is kind of cool. So we'll have to keep our eye on that for sure. We got another Shenpao Iron Hands deck here. We got that Shenpao Iron Hands deck playing the Ditto, and the ace spec of choice being a Master Ball. Now, I don't hate that. Master Ball makes it easier to find Stage 2 Pokemon. I mean, Master Ball literally searches out Baxcalibur. So instead of playing Prime Catcher, it does opt for Master Ball. Honestly, I think Prime Catcher is still the best ace spec to play, but Master Ball is not terrible because it does allow you to find, those Baxcaliburs a lot easier, but it also lets you get turn 1 Shenpao a bit easier too. It's not a terrible card to play, to be honest. It's not the worst ace spec ever. Yeah, we got another Zard Pidgeot deck here. Once again, playing a Judge in the deck. It's an interesting supporter. And Roseanne's backup, which I guess does let you get tools back. Again, like that ace spec tool. So there you go. Got another Charizard Pidgeot deck here. Once again, playing Mist Energy, playing that new ace spec tool. We got another Lost Zone deck, but this time it's a Lost Box Paradox Box deck. I guess we can call it that. Now, the Lost Box Paradox deck does, of course, have to adapt a little bit. It does lose Battle VIP, but again, with the Buddy Poffins, it's not too bad. You also get that new skateboard card for the Comfey, which does allow your Comfey to have a free retreat pivot, which is really good. That's one of the selling points, actually, of playing Comfey again, is now there's a tool card for it. Once again, playing Prime Catcher as the ace spec makes sense. Prime Catcher is really good in the Lost Zone engine decks. Yeah, we got the Moon, we got the Iron Hands in the deck still. Yeah, I mean, the Lost Box deck just has to kind of play Buddy Poffin over Battle VIP, but it's, it is a bit of a big loss, but it's like not the end of the world type of thing, right? So it's cool to see that. We got another look at our post-rotation Giratina V-Star deck. This one is not playing any stadium cards, but it is actually, instead of playing Prime Catcher, playing the ace-spec tool that lets you do 50 more damage, which again, I think could be good in the Zard matchup, in theory. Playing a lot of draw, playing 4 Cores, 2 Iono, and 2 Roxannes. I guess you gotta remember, Roxanne is not as good as it used to be without Path. Roxanne will still be good, but without Path, it's like, it feels a little bit more riskier. We got more Zard here, obviously. This one's playing Delphox V, and this one also plays Prime Catcher in the deck, overplaying the Choice Band supporter. There you go. We got a Dialga V-Star Metang deck. Now, this one has me excited. This is one of my favorite new decks to come out of the new set. I am excited to try this out. Metang's got that mini Magnezone ability. You go to the top 4 cards of your deck, attach any amount of basic metal energy you find there, put on your Pokemon. Now, the one interesting thing about this build is not playing the Mallow supporter, which seems like it could be pretty good in this deck, because you can use it to put 2 metal energy on top of your deck for free for Dialga, but it does have the Baby Zam in the deck. It's got the TM Evo to get your Metangs in play, get your Bibarel in play. Obviously, there's no Metagross in the deck. There just isn't a good Metagross card. The interesting thing, too, is playing the Cape supporter card for the plus 100 HP. That could be pretty good with Zamazenta. Could even be good with Dialga V-Star, too. You can even get the, you can Buddy Poffin for Beldums and stuff to set up pretty nicely. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it. I'm super excited to try out Dialga Metang. And we got Charizard again playing at the Toedscruel in the deck to help for the Shenpao and Goldango matchup. Playing the Prime Catcher, too, as the ace spec. Another Goldango Palkia deck here. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. Playing the Prime Catcher, again, alongside the Canceling Clone, which is really good. More Goldango Palkia again. Another one here playing Prime Catcher. And playing the Silene, too, which is kind of deadly. And then we got another Charizard deck. And this one's a Charizard Bibarel deck with a 1-1 Arceus V-Star. Arceus V-Star might not be bad with Charizard because instead of using Charizard early on, you can still use Arceus early on, especially now that it has that plus 50 damage from that ace spec. So it makes your Arceus more aggressive against basic EXs, which does make it a little bit more deadlier over just playing like Charizard Pidgeot, which it makes sense. Another Shenpao Iron Hands deck here playing the Prime Catcher as the ace spec. And we got a really cool Roaring Moon deck here. We got that Roaring Moon deck with the couple Flutter Mane, but also choosing to play an Iron Leaves in the deck to help a little bit against Charizard, which doesn't, it may not seem synergistic because, like, well, why would you do that? Because you already have the Roaring Moon to kill the Charizard, but that extra little bit of Iron Leaves can go a long way in the Zard matchup. Could also be good in, like, the Mirror match, I guess, too, because you can one-shot opposing Roaring Moons with Iron Leaves. It's not a terrible idea. Playing Prime Catcher as the ace spec. There's no baby Roaring Moon, just playing the baby Flutter Mane in the deck instead. Next turn here, we got another Roaring Moon deck, the Duo Roaring Moon deck. And this one is playing that brand new Ancient Ace Spec card. Lets you draw a card for each of your Ancient Pokemon in play. Yeah, you got the Flutter Mane, it's got the Baby Moon, got the Roaring Moons. A lot of Ancient cards in the deck, and that'll make your Roaring Moon baby do a lot of damage. Because you do, what, 70 base damage plus 10 more damage for each Ancient card in the discard. Not only is it playing Sada, it's also playing the other new supporter. Let's look at the top 5 cards of your deck and, like, take 2 of them and discard the other ones. And that's an Ancient card, too, which synergizes really nicely with that single prize Roaring Moon. We got another Shenpao Iron Hands deck here, playing Prime Catcher, and also, instead of playing Iono, is playing the Mallow supporter. And then there's another Ancient Box deck here. This one is pure Ancient Box. There's no Well, there's Greninja, but that's it. Every other Pokemon in the deck is an ancient Pokemon, mainly just trying to synergize with that baby Roaring Moon. It's got the got the two prize Roaring Moon. It's got the Koraidon in the deck that does 30 damage for each of your ancient Pokemon in play, and playing Slitherwing in the deck that could do like 140 damage and burn. So that's a cool inclusion. Yeah, it could be good. We haven't seen Miraidon yet in Postration. I wonder if we're going to see one, but this is a really cool ancient toolbox deck, really leaning more into the one prize attacker there with that baby Roaring Moon, but also having access to the ancient ace-spec card in the deck. That's sick. All right, here's the big one. We got our first look at the Future Box deck. Now, Future Box looks very promising. We have that new baby Miraidon that does 30 damage and can accelerate energy to your future Pokemon, but you also have the new Iron Crown EX, the Cobalion card that lets your future Pokemon do 30 more damage to your opponent's active, and you can stack it. There's also the Iron Leaves in the deck to help against Charizard. There's the Iron Valiant to get some extra damage in play, and there's also the Iron Treads, the baby Iron Treads. I forget what it does, but it is a metal Pokemon, which is obviously good against Shenpao. It is playing that Miraidon EX in the deck, which now that we have that future Ace-Spec card, which this deck does play the future Ace-Spec card, you are able to actually kind of get that Miraidon powered up a lot quicker, because it does require Lightning and Psychic Energy. But yeah, really cool stuff. We do see Crisis Punch being incorporated in the deck too. Techno Radar is also really broken. You can see there's 4 copies. Basically, future Pokemon have their own Battle VIP Pass with Techno Radar, which is just an insane card in Future Box. Future Box is looking pretty deadly. I mean, you get a bunch of Iron Crowns in play. The baby Miraidon can knock out basic Pokemon really easily. And a lot of the time, it's going to be two-shotting stuff, too. And you have the Future Booster Capsule. Yeah, the Future Box deck looks kind of crazy. This is our first look at it, and dang, is it looking pretty good. I wonder if it can beat Zard. I mean, you have the Iron Leaves, so maybe. Yeah. We got another Lost Zone deck. This one's a Lost Zone Iron Valiant deck with Iron Hands EX. So a bit of a future package here with the Iron Valiant Hands combo. Iron Valiant's not bad in the deck. You can combine it really nicely with Sableye, which the deck does play 2 of. It's got the Future Booster Capsule, and it has the Prime Catcher and that newest Skateboard card, which is kind of cute. We got another great Tusk Mill deck here, milling a bunch of cards when you play an Ace-Spec, or not Ace-Spec, sorry, a Ancient card, Ancient Supporter card from your hand. That's cool. That is another one. We got back-to-back great Tusk Mill decks, playing the Mimikyu in the deck too. Yeah, I wonder how good this deck is. I guess if every deck's like turboing through their deck right now in the new format, maybe it's worth playing that. Because I mean, imagine you're playing as Roaring Moon and they just mill like half their deck in one turn. It's like, all right, bet. Got another Arctina deck with the Iron Leaves, playing the new Ace-Spec tool, playing at the Box of Disaster still in the deck. Not a terrible, not a terrible tool to play. But yeah, I like Arctina in the new format. I mean, it's just very strong, very consistent, very powerful. And with Iron Leaves, you kind of just have a decent time against Charizard, alongside the Ace-Spec tool card, which is also pretty good against Charizard for Giratina. Speaking of Charizard, we got another Charizard deck here to look at. There's another Bibarel Charizard deck here, playing Entei V in the deck. Ooh, we got a Serena EX deck in the rotation. It's a cool deck. Yeah, Serena Control could be good. I mean, it has a good Zard matchup, and maybe like the matchup against like Future Box is good. Any deck that fills her bench up is really good for Serena EX. Trying to play into the Braviary. Obviously, you still have the mask in the format, the Panic Mask, which still works nicely with the Serena. That didn't rotate, obviously. This deck here does also play a single price Shaman, which I think lets you just get basic Pokemon on your bench. Then it's got the Iron Bundle in the deck. It looks like it's got the Rotom V, playing the Giant Capes Ace-Spec card to give potentially Serena more HP. I mean, that does make Serena quite tanky, so that makes sense. Another Lost Zone Giratina deck here to look at. Opting for the 2 stadiums being Artisan and Town Store. Not bad. I mean, you can play the Crisis Punch and the big Choice Band card for the deck. Pretty cool stuff. And opting for 1 Roxanne, 1 Iono. Oh, but actually another thing, it's playing that supporter that lets you discard 2 items from your opponent's hand. Could be deadly against Charizard. Another Goldango Palkia deck here to look at, playing the new Stadium. I think that lets your metal Pokemon... I forget what that does. It's something with your metal Pokemon. I forget what it does. Nothing like too insane, but it probably is good with Goldango. I just forget what it does, unfortunately. I just can't like look up every single card if I can't remember what it does. Another Shenpao Iron Hands with Prime Catcher and Silene. Another Arctina deck here to look at, playing League Headquarters, playing the Choice Band Quad Judge, and alongside again that Iron Leaves in the deck for the Zard matchup. We got another Goldango Palkia deck here. Once again, playing Prime Catcher, playing Silene. Rigid Band in the deck too to make your Goldango a little bit more tankier. And finally, we got another Pidgeysar deck here once again. And this one does play Prime Catcher as the Ace-Spec card. All right, we got another tourney here. The winning deck was another Arc Pile. It was an Arc Armor Rouge deck. This one also plays a couple copies of Grass Energy and the Iron Leaves to help against Charizard, and of course playing the Toedscruel to help against Shenpao. It did win the tourney, so there you go. Then we got another Charizard here, another Pidgeysard as the runner-up deck, playing the Prime Catcher Ace-Spec in the deck, and the Toedscruel in the deck too. And we got a really cool Arceus Scizor deck here, actually. This one's playing Prime Catcher and Crisis Punch in the deck for the tools. That's really cool. Arceus Scizor, that's not a bad idea. I mean, Scizor is a very low-maintenance card. It literally needs 1 energy to do big damage. I mean, it's not a terrible partner to play in Arceus, to be honest. I don't hate it. Got another Zard Pidgeot deck here with the Prime or the Choice Band card. Another Roaring a Moon box deck, leaning into the 1 prize attacker, having the Koraidon in the deck that does 30 damage for each of your ancient Pokemon in play, the Roaring Moon that does 70 damage, plus 10 for each of your ancient things in the discard pile, alongside the Sada and the other ancient supporter and the ancient Ace-Spec card. So going to be another good 1 prize deck, I bet. All right, then we got another Zard, another Pidgeysard here. And, ooh, Lugia. So Lugia Post-Station. Yeah, okay, Lugia does lose Single Strike. Big loss. But Lugia still has, like, the colors package to lead into. Mist Energy isn't a terrible card. Interestingly enough, it is playing that new Cinccino. Now, the new Cinccino does, like, 70 damage for each of your special energy that you have in play. Makes Cinccino a pretty deadly attacker in Lugia. I don't know, man. Yo, Post-Station Lugia may not be dead. Now, I'm not too sure it has the best Zard matchup, but one thing you can notice is the Ace-Spec of Choice. Playing that big Choice Band card does allow you to actually do more damage with your Lugia V-Star, and that Lugia V-Star can take knockouts on basic EXs a lot more easily, which is kind of deadly. You still got Snorlax in the deck, which is a great 1 prize option. The Mew EX is still in there. Playing Morty. Obviously, Lugia did lose Burnett too, which is another big supporter loss. Would have been really good to still have Burnett in the deck. But you got like Morty, you still have Research in the deck, Capture and Aroma. Mezagoza still sticks around, obviously. So that's really cool to see Post-Station Lugia. More Zard. We'll try to skim through some of these decks here. We've already seen a lot of them. Yeah, Goldengo Palkia, we've seen that. Whoops, I skipped past a deck. It was another Goldengo Palkia. Look at that. We got another Roaring Moon deck. This one does play the Darkrai V-Star once again in the deck, alongside the Prime Catcher. Good combo there. Ooh, we got another Great Tusk Mill deck. I mean, it's interesting. We're seeing a lot of these Great Tusk Mill decks. Is this actually a legit deck? I'm not too sure. Another Shenpao deck. Not playing Iron Hands, opting for the Palkia V-Star. There's another Shenpao with the Iron Hands and the Palkia V-Star in the deck. The Palkia V-Star might be nice to have, especially against the Toedscruel EX, or the normal Toedscruel, sorry, that everyone's playing in their decks. We got another Roaring Moon deck here, playing a lot of the 2 Roaring Moons, playing 4 of each, and the Fluttermane in the deck, leaning into both Roaring Moons as your attackers. And then we got another Goodra deck. It's actually this time a Lost Goodra deck instead of Arc Goodra. Lost Goodra might not be terrible. I mean, you have Mist Energy. That'll help against Roaring Moon, obviously. Yeah, I mean, and with Giratina potentially being a lot worse, which was another matchup that Goodra didn't like right now. That's why Goodra's not like a great meta deck at the moment in our current Paradox Rift meta. And, you know, with the loss of those cards, Goodra could shine again. I mean, there's no path anymore. You can always use Moisture Star in a game. You can play that Choice Band supporter to make Goodra do a ton of damage, knock out basic EXs, and be tanky. That's kind of cool. Honestly, the prize trade with that tool card is kind of insane, actually, against basic EXs, especially when they can't one-shot you back. It's kind of crazy, actually. I like that. Another tourney was won here by Giratina. So Giratina's still winning some tourneys. Well, it isn't as good as it used to be, or is the same. Still out here winning the tourneys. And we got another Ancient Toolbox deck with the Baby Roaring Moon. Then it's also playing the Great Tusk in the deck. Has access to the Baby Koraidon and the Fluttermane. A lot of really cool 1 prize Ancient Pokemon in that deck there to do some damage. Got another Zard playing the Pidgeot and the Arceus V-Star and the Mist Energies, 2 Mist Energy. And we got another Shenpao Iron Hands. Again, a deck that just kind of naturally is fine with rotation. Another Charizard Pidgeot deck playing a Minior in the deck. Yo, trying to respect that Snorlax deck. I think we've seen, what, 1 Snorlax deck so far? Ooh, another Great Tusk Mill deck. Hey, man, maybe this deck's actually good. It's playing Grass Energy in the deck, but there's no grass types in the deck. I wonder if that's kind of just like a bait and switch for Charizard. That's interesting. All right, I say we haven't seen one, but here we go. We got another Snorlax control deck. It is also playing the Shiyu and the Radiant Zard in the deck to have that big attacker, take out any threats. But also playing a Luxray Reversal Energy in the deck. That's kind of cool. And the Mantine. I cannot remember what that Mantine does off the top of my head, but it is in the deck. I guess you'll have to look it up yourself. I mean, it definitely has to be good, right, to for these Snorlax decks to play it. Another Shenpao Iron Hands. Ooh, playing the Fluttermane in the deck. That could be good to slow the opponent down. Fluttermane does require 3 colorless energy, so it's a bit easier to build up, obviously. We got yet another Lugia deck. This time, though, it is not Lugia with Cinccino. It's just a straightforward colorless Lugia with the addition of Radiant Charizard. A couple energies in the deck. Got the water, got the fire energy in the deck for the Luminion alongside the Earthen Vessel. I do like Lugia still in the rotation. It's not terrible. I mean, the Zard matchup still might be tough, but it's not bad. You do have access to the Tool card, which does make Lugia V-Star do a lot of damage to those basic Pokemon, right? Got another Bibzar deck. Ooh, we got our first look at a Miraidon deck. Now, this is a future Miraidon deck because it does have both Iron Valiant and Iron Hands. I've actually thought about playing Iron Valiant in Miraidon before, especially with Zapdos. I've thought of that before. Might even have it built on live at the moment. I can't remember. But Miraidon in the rotation. Yes, it loses Flaffy, but you can lean into the generators. You still have the XP share, and you can also play that new future Ace spec. But this deck doesn't play that. It actually plays Prime Catcher. Prime Catcher seems kind of cracked in Miraidon. That does make Miraidon even more deadlier at the moment. But this one leans more into the future aspect things. Actually, not even playing a Raichu in the deck. I just realized that's interesting. We got more Moon, Turbo Roaring Moon with the Darkrai. Playing a couple catchers in the deck too. No Prime Catcher though. Actually playing that the new Ace Spec Tool card instead. We got our first look at Sablezard in the rotation. Sablezard's not bad. You can still play Buddy Poffin, which is fine for Comfy. Yeah, kind of stays the same. We got the Roxanne's in the deck, Artisan and Temple Sinnoh as the stadiums, and then we got the Sableye in there, the Charizard. Still playing Jirachi Manaphy, double Manaphy, actually. I guess that makes sense with how much Prime Catcher Clone there is right now. And then there's Iron Bundle in the deck, interesting, and Mimikyu, which I guess is good into Zard. We got another future toolbox deck here going on. Pretty interesting stuff, playing the Iron Crowns, Iron Leaves, having the Iron Hands in the deck, playing the new Miraidon EX, and the new Baby Miraidon, which again is very scary. That Baby Miraidon, not only is it getting energy into play, but it's also doing a ton of damage alongside Iron Crown. And then with Techno Radar, it's really easy to find all these future Pokemon. So future box looking pretty cool, man, not gonna lie. We got another dual Roaring Moon Ancient box deck here with Fluttermane and the other Moon. And then finally, we got yet another Charizard deck here in the tournament. All right, next up here, we got a tournament in Tokyo. The deck that won was good old Charizard. It was the Bibzar deck. And then we got another Charizard. The runner-up deck was another Bibzar deck. So 2 Bibzar decks back-to-back. Interesting. Got another Shempao deck here. No Iron Hands in that Shempao deck. We got another Giratina, bro. It's like rotation never happened, bro. What? That's funny. Yeah, Giratina playing the one of Temple Sinnoh as the stadium. And we got more Goldengo Palkia. This one has Scizor in the deck, too. Yeah, man, rotation never happened, bro. Okay, here we go. We got a new deck. Now, this one's playing the new Dunsparce, which you can shuffle it back into the deck and then draw 3 cards. That's really cool. So it does give it some kind of, like, draw engine. There's a Squawkabilly. The one thing in this deck, though, is there's no Radiant Greninja. Actually playing Radiant Hisuian Sneasler alongside Brute Bonnet. So that kind of turns Brute Bonnet into an attacker, because you're not really playing as much Roaring Moon EXs. You're actually playing, 4 Baby Roaring Moon. So it's more of a ancient box deck still, nonetheless. It's cool innovations. We got yet another really cool Lugia V-Star deck playing that new Cinccino. That does 70 damage, free special energy on it. Pretty cool stuff, doing a ton of damage. Actually playing Master Ball. I don't hate that as the Ace spec either. That is a free way to find Archeops. That isn't a bad Ace spec, actually. I think that tool card might be a little bit better, but Master Ball makes a lot of sense in Lugia, too, to be honest. And more Great Tusk Mill. This one does have Crushing Hammer in the deck. We got 2 Charizards here back-to-back. We'll quickly skim through these. We got another really cool deck. We got that Metang Dialga V-Star deck with Aggron in the deck, too, as an attacker. Aggron didn't rotate, Aggron's still here. It's kicking around in the format. Yeah, Dialga deck's exciting to see. I love to see it. Got another Goldengo deck with Scizor, no Palkia. More Charizard, Bibzard again. We got another Great Tusk Mill deck. I've seen a lot of Great Tusks, man. That's crazy. Is that actually legit? I'm not too sure. Got more Zard, Pidgeysard once again. We got another Pidgeysard deck here with the Fluttermane in the deck. Another Pidgeysard deck. We got another Shempao Iron Hands. We got another Paradox Lost Box deck here with the Hands and the Moon, playing the Prime Catcher and Crisis Punch and TM Devo. I'm interested there's no Town Store in that deck. Actually, we're already blended to another tournament. I didn't even realize. We got another Pidgeysard deck. Look at that. Boom. We got another really interesting Charizard box. It's like a Charizard toolbox deck with Vulpix V-Star. Now, that's interesting. I mean, I guess you can build up Vulpix V-Star as an anti-meta attacker in the deck. I don't hate it. It's an interesting inclusion in the deck. Very spicy Charizard deck. Let me go back here again. We got another Pidgeysard. We got yet another Pidgeysard playing Cleffa in the deck. Interesting. We got another Arc Gudra Vulpix deck. So that's really cool to see. This deck could have legs. I do like Gudra in the new format. With the loss of Path and Giratina V-Star, not being as relevant. And obviously with Mist Energy, you can help a lot against Roaring Moon. Gudra doesn't seem bad in our new format, man. Even if it's going to be in the Lost Zone or the Arceus. Yeah, of course, we got Pidgeysard again. We got another Pidgeysard. Ooh, we got the look at that. We got Garganacl EX. I think it's Garganacl or Garganacl or bro, I can't pronounce it right now. I've been talking too long. But this card is really cool. We haven't gotten it yet. I thought we were gonna get this card in Paldean Fates, but we didn't. But this card is basically just a stronger Gudra because it does like a lot of damage and also can tank harder than Gudra can. I think its ability makes it take less damage. I can't remember off the top of my head what it does. If only we got it in Paldean Fates, we could have played it early. But I think we'll probably get it in Temporal Forces. So that'll probably be when we get it. Got another Goldengo Palkia deck here. Another Goldengo Palkia. Goldengo Scizor this time. A lot of Goldengo. So yeah, Goldengo, yeah, definitely that Toedscruel because there's so like another Goldengo. We got Shenpao Iron Hands. I mean, the Toedscruel looking pretty promising with all these hands and Goldengos we've been looking at. We got another Shenpao deck, and that was it for that. All right, we can move on here. We'll quickly try to skim through this too. We got another day of post-station tournaments here. This one, we got a Lugia V-Star deck, once again, with the Cinccino in the deck. Now, the one thing in this build, it's actually leaning more into the Cinccino, not playing any Snorlaxes or anything. Just straight up Lugia Cinccino. Interesting. It won the tournament. The second place deck was another Roaring Moon Darkrai V-Star deck here. And the runner-up, yeah, top four, we got Charizard. We got another Charizard in top four, playing at the double Toedscruel package. We got another Roaring Moon deck here, playing the Cologne and the Prime Catcher in the deck for the Greninja. Another Goldengo Palkia deck. Yo, post-station Hisuian Zoroark? Not bad. I mean, yo, Zoroark is a decent beatstick deck, and you can still use it with a lot of the cards. I mean, didn't really lose a lot with rotation. You still have Gapejaw Bog, Gengar's in the format. You have Bibarel, which is still something you see play. Playing Radiant Jirachi over Alakazam is an interesting inclusion, though. But even that new Tool card does let Zoroark V-Star one-shot a Charizard EX a lot easier, so I don't hate that. And Flutter Mane's not bad. You can go into Flutter Mane with Hisuian Zoroark V, which is also kind of cool. And I guess you can go into Jirachi too as Zoroark V. We got that Goldengo Palkia deck. More Turbo Roaring Moon with Darkrai V-Star and the Prime Catcher. We got another Roaring Moon deck here. Another Roaring Moon Prime Catcher deck. We got another Charizard Bibarel deck here. Apparently Bibzard's still good, I guess. There you go. Didn't expect to see that, but there we are. We got another Pidgeysard. We got another Goldengo. We got another Pidgeysard. And ooh, we got a very interesting Rotom V-Star deck. So Rotom V-Star did game Crisis Punch. I actually think that's a decent combo. And that's something I do want to look at on the channel very soon. Yeah, I like that because you can play this deck right now. Rotom V-Star isn't bad. Huh, interesting. The spice is real. All right, next tournament was won once again by Snorlax. I can't remember what that Mantine does. I'm sure somebody will comment it, hopefully. Help me out a little bit. Another Pidgeysard. And then we got another Great Tusk Mill deck playing a Mawile in the deck, too, to give you more win cons. We got another Shenpao Iron Hands. Wait, was there Shenpao? Yeah, there was. Okay. I was like, I didn't see the Shenpao for a sec. I was like, wait, what? Yo, we got a really cool Snorlax control deck with Pidgeot and Noivern EX in the deck. Whoa, there's a lot of stuff going on here. It's got Shiyu in the deck. Got the Luxray V, the baby Luxray 2. A lot going on in that deck. We got more Goldengo Palkia. We got another really cool Arctina build. Once again, Arctina with that one of Iron Leaves. The new meta. The new meta. Got Shenpao Iron Hands again. Another Shenpao Hands. We got our first Espather deck here. Not a terrible deck in the rotation. I mean, hey, probably good against both Charizard and, of course, Roaring Moon. Playing Master Ball is the ace-spec card, too. All right, yo, we got another Raging Bolt deck here. We've only seen two so far, which is kind of surprising, but I guess Raging Bolt isn't as good as people are making it out to be, but it does look still kind of decent. Again, the Sandy Shock's in the deck, the baby Koraidon, you got the Sadas for the energy acceleration, the Ancient Booster Capsule to make that thing tanky. It's got 240 HP. Raging Bolt is quite a beast. We got our first, our second Miraidon deck here. Post-rotation Miraidon with the EXP shares in the deck. Also, that new Baton card with Iron Hands is disgusting. Iron Hands has a 4 retreat cost. When you put that Baton on, the Iron Hands gets knocked out, you can conserve those 4 energy, which is insane with Raichu. Again, no longer having Flaffy is a big deal for the deck, but the deck still has a lot of its big attackers, and Generator is still good. 17 energy in the deck still. I mean, yeah, Miraidon also did lose Peony, which is another pretty big loss, I guess, too. No more Peony to, like, accelerate energy. All right, we'll look at another deck here. We got another Miraidon deck playing Magnezone V-Star in the deck. There's another supporter in the deck here. I think that's the Wally supporter that lets you go into, like, Zeraora. I guess that's interesting. Yeah, it's cool. You can actually go turn 1 Magnezone V-Star. Huh. Yo, that's kind of crazy. Yo, that card with Magnezone, you turn 1 Magnezone if they don't get Manaphy down. Yo, that's kind of broken. What the heck? Or even turn 1 Zeraora is kind of sick. We got another Roaring Moon Pelkier. Love to see it. Cool deck. All right, we're just going to kind of pick and choose some of these decks here because we've been going on for a while. All right, big one here. We got another Arc deck. This time it's Arc Regidrago. Not a bad deck. You can still play Iron Leaves in the deck because Regidrago does require Grass Energy. It's even got that Mela supporter, which can attach energy when something gets knocked out and then drop to 6. Yeah, cool stuff. I like Regidrago V-Star. The deck even plays a Giratina V-Star and a Giratina V in the deck and a Psychic Energy to try to attack with it. That's cool. I'm a big Regidrago fan. Cool stuff to see. All right. We got another Arc Armor Rouge deck here. Playing a Cobalion and the Choice Band supporter for more damage. We got another Colorless Lugia deck here. Yeah, Colorless Lugia doesn't seem terrible still. It's got Weird Ear. It's got Snorlax. Again, if you want to try out the Cinccino, you can. There is that option too. All right, we got another interesting Lost Zone deck. It's another Lost Zone toolbox deck playing Radiant Zard and Snorlax in the deck as another attacker. And then we got another look at Raging Bolt. Raging Bolt Palkia, I like that a lot. Yo, Palkia can get you energy in play for Raging Bolt. That's kind of cool, actually. That's really smart. Yo, Palkia Raging Bolt, that's a sick idea. I rate that a lot. That is kind of sick. Because, yeah, well, like I said, Palkia can put a bunch of energy in play for Raging Bolt's attack. What's what? Plus 210 damage for Raging Bolt? That's kind of sick. And then you can also attack with Palkia early on, and then you can kind of work towards Sandy Shocks. Okay, I really like that idea. That actually might be better than the other Raging Bolt decks we looked at, because Palkia just, yeah, that's kind of cool, actually. We got our first look at Gardevoir in the rotation. So, Gardy does lose Zacian V. I mean, we already know it loses a lot, but you can still play cards like Buddy Poffin. This build does play double Cape in the deck. It's got the Luxurious Cape and the brand new Giant Cape. So I think the way we're going to have to see Gardy C play is, of course, with Drifloon. Drifloon being kind of the new Shining Arcana Gardevoir that does 30 damage, free damage counter on it. You still got Moonlit Hill in the format. You got the Mimikyu EX in the deck, which is cool. The Fluttermane you could also play in Gardevoir. Yeah, Gardevoir definitely has to adapt in the new format. I mean, you can still play like the Collapse, the Heavy Iono. You still have, the Silver Tempest, Refinement Curlia. You just don't have Mirage Step anymore. Got that Arc Gudra deck here with Vulpix again. And then we got another Roaring Moon and another Tina. All right. Going into this tourney here, I've seen a lot of these decks already. Is there anything spicy? Another Arc Armor Rouge? Yeah, we got a straight Arc Gudra deck. No Vulpix this time. Playing Toadscruel in the deck. That probably helps a lot. I mean, you got the Mist Energy and the Toadscruel to make it really hard for those big 1-hit KO decks like Shampoo and Moon to knock you out. I like it. Yeah, it's Porzard and stuff. Arc Gudra Vulpix won in this tournament too. Yo, Gudra V-Star Arc in the new format, I rate it. We got another Arc Gudra deck too that did good. You got another look at Miraidon. This Miraidon is playing at the Regieleki VMAX, going back to the old way Miraidon saw play when Scarlet and Violet came out, but does have that Baby Thunders in the deck too as a nice early game attacker. And I guess the new Choice Band supporter is not bad at playing Miraidon either for more damage. The one thing in this deck you'll notice there's no Iron Hands EX. It's trying to attack with Raikou and Miraidon the whole time. Another rotation Sablezard deck. Again, doesn't lose too much with rotation. More Arc Gudra Vulpix. I mean, hey, man, that deck's picking up popularity potentially. We got another Arc deck. This one's Arc with Toadscruel and Iron at Leaves. So it's a bit more of just a straightforward attacking Arceus deck. Does have the option, though, to use the Iron Leaves. Also playing Toadscruel. Again, pretty good against Roaring Moon. You just can't build up the Toadscruel with Arceus. Pardon me, that's like the only issue, I guess, in the deck. I might have just had a voice crack there, by the way. Yo, we got a Garchomp EX deck that did well. Rotation Garchomp's not bad. You got Buddy Poffin to find Gibble. You got the Pidgeot in the deck. Got some decent fighting Pokemon. Just Decidueye could be good against Mimikyu if you play against Control. I don't hate it at all. We got another great Tusk Mill deck here to wrap that up. All right, the next tournament here, we're going to quickly skim through this. All right, we got yet another Future Box deck playing all the different attackers, the Baby Miraidon, the Iron Hands, the Valiant, the Iron Leaves, the Miraidon EX, the Iron Treads, but also choosing to play that 1/1 Darkrai, and I don't hate that. Now, Darkrai V-Star does let you get back that Energy Acceleration Future A-Spec card, and again, that thing puts an energy on all your future Pokemon in play from your discard pile, so that lets you put a lot of energy in play. When you can do that twice per game with Darkrai V-Star's ability, that is pretty dirty. That is a really interesting inclusion. I don't hate the idea of playing Darkrai V-Star in Future Box either. Definitely does make a lot of sense. Let's see what else we got here. A lot more Pidgeysar. We got another Post-Station Guardy. This one does play the cookie. Oh my god, that is cooking, bro. Raging Bolt. Yo, you can put energy into play with Gardevoir to then discard for Raging Bolt. So Raging Bolt, you have to build up with Sawdust. So you're a little bit more of like a clunkier deck, but you're kind of combining two decks in one. I don't hate that idea. That is, bro, talk about cooking. I like it, though. I like the creativity. We got a really cool Scizor attacking deck here. Just kind of a straightforward attacking Scizor deck. Playing the Radiant Zard, playing the Cleavor, playing the Scizor. Scizor's not a bad attacker. There's a lot of basic abilities. Using a Liepard as a draw engine, too, is very interesting. I guess this is like the new Zorobox kind of-ish. Yeah, Rip Zoroark. Zoroark rotated, by the way, if you didn't know. All right, final tournament here, I think. We got another Raging Bolt playing at the Sandy Shocks. I did really like that Pelkey idea, but I guess, like, again, the more traditional Raging Bolt deck with Sandy Shocks isn't bad either. See here, we got another Arc Pile. It's an Arc deck with Pidgeot and Radiant Charizard and Iron Leaves, two really cool counter Pokemon. I guess Arc can work by itself. When you have that A-Spec tool, I mean, Arc can do a lot of crazy stuff. More Arctina, once again, playing in the Iron Leaves. Good thing to point out. Two Arctinas with Iron Leaves. Interesting. Another Arc Pile. This tournament's got all the Arc Piles, but we got an Arc Gudra Vulpix deck, too. Look at that. Another Arctina. I wonder if that'll get more popular the more Charizard we see. Makes sense. In the final deck here, we got another Roaring Moon. All right, this might be the final tournament. I lied. We got another Arctina. It actually ended up, unfortunately, losing to Charizard EXF. We got another big Turbo Roaring Moon. Playing the Iron Leaves in the deck, too. Having that Grass Attacker in the deck. Also playing... Yo, is that Sneasler V? I think that is Sneasler V. That is an interesting card to play. Huh. That's Sneasler V, right? Yeah, Sneasler V. What? Haven't seen that card in a while. Okay, that's interesting. Goldengo Palkia, more Charizard. We got another Colorless Lugia playing the new Cinccino, doing a ton of damage with all the special energy. Espathra again. Again, not bad. I mean, I'm saying even now in our current format, this card ain't too bad. It's probably going to struggle a lot against Shempo, though, I guess, which is kind of scary. We got another Turbo Moon with that 1/1 Darkrai in the deck with the Prime Catcher. And, yeah, a couple more Arctinas here to round things out. We got the Arctina Iron Leaves and the Goldengo. So there you go. That will be it for all the tournaments. We looked at a lot of them. This video's almost been going on for an hour. So almost an hour's worth of post-rotation decks here to look at. Pretty cool stuff. There is, of course, the highlight Charizard is the BDIF. Giratina is still surviving, and we've seen a couple interesting Guardilas. Goldengo and Shempow look a lot better now with the format slowing down. Arc Piles are doing good. I mean, Arctina, Arc Gudra, Vulpix, they're doing pretty good. Yeah, a lot of cool things to take away with rotation. We did see a lot of the ancient Roaring Moon toolbox decks using that one prize Roaring Moon. Saw some really cool Raging Bolt decks, a couple of future box decks. Yeah, rotation, it's looking pretty crazy. And once again, I'll leave a link down below to Pokemon Book if you want to go check out the website yourself and look at all of these decks for yourself. That'll be it for me. If y'all enjoyed the video, again, leave a like if you want to see more of these videos where you look at post-rotation decks. I'm down to do them, man. I'm down to keep looking at new decks until we get the new format. All right, I'll see y'all in another video. Have a good rest of your day, and bye-bye.